we're going to go ahead. Anyone ever buy a place or start to buy a place and you're literally not sure what you should keep it or you should fix and flip it or wholesale it because you are just not sure. Have you ever been in that situation? Anybody? Because not everybody's been in this situation. I've been there.
We're the only ones.
One or two? Okay. How many of you know you should be holding more properties? Okay. How many of you know you should flip more properties? Okay.
I got another way to say it. How many of you have done a really cool flip? Oh, man, it was so awesome. It took you 7 months. You were only $40,000 over budget. And you kind of went to yourself, why did I do that?
Yep.
There we go. That's the same topic.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So maybe if you weren't thinking of it beforehand, that's one thing.
Right.
But then you get yourself,
right,
like over, the water's up to your chin. That's what we're talking about right now.
Right. It's going to be all of the above, and also why you keep some, and what to do. Should you do an all-out rehab, or can you throw a few dollars in, or sell it as is? How many of you how many of you actively have flipped a house? Okay, a few of you. How many of you know that you overdid a house that you didn't need to do? On all of them. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and that's kind of what it comes down to. All right, first of all, here we said before, not tax professionals, et cetera, always seek competent legal tax marriage advice. Hands down, period.
All of it.
Understand. Well, Evan said, I know, but, I have been divorced before, so keep that in mind.
Wow.
I'm Evan Brown. I've
That's
been an investor for 16
lot.
years. I love probate deals, long-term rentals, housing provider, especially mobiles on land, small multi-units like duplexes, stuff like that, and notes.
And I've been doing the same thing for about the same amount of time. I started, though, in construction as a realtor. I love probate deals, wholesale deals, fix and flips, single-family home development. I'm doing a little like multifamily, like 2, 3, 4-plexes right now. I like the auction properties, and last year my wife's the James and Teresa Keller Foundations funded 2 nonprofit housing charities, so we are over our head in that big time. But I've got a lot of experience and love the business.
Okay, so really, when should you do a full rehab? When can you just do a lipstick rehab? When you sell? We have a couple live projects going on now, one for Jim, one for me. Actually had to decide just in the last few weeks. I just finished mine today, and we'll tell you what we did. And Jim will tell you what he did on his and see what you guys would do. Because some of you, Rich talked about this recently when he noticed that some of you were ripping out perfectly good cabinets because you felt like you needed to rip out perfectly good cabinets. It's like, well, no, that's what you do. No, you do not have to. Save if you can. Okay?
In today's market, I think that's almost every time a mistake. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, unless they're bad. Okay. Again, this is important. We are not, okay? Mobile home flip options. This is a current deal right now that I literally finished today. And this is as it looks. And so when we looked at it, I was debating, do I just move this to another investor? That was my first thought. Let me just sell it. I've done like 10, 11, 12 in that park. And family park. And it was going to put a lot of money in. I put some money into it. Or do I sell it as is? There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a nice purple color.
That.
That's purple, isn't it?
The seller of this literally went and paid cash for a property in Phelan for like $300,000, and then he wanted what he wanted on this, and I just made him my offer, and then kept saying no to every counter, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, questions and thoughts on pretty much every property that I know I go through and he goes through. Yes. Victorville, and they moved to Phelan. They bought 2 acres. Phelan's by Oak Hills, the top of the Cajon Pass to the left.
It's west of Victorville, west and a little south
towards
of Victorville.
Palmdale.
Highway 138. Highway 138 runs through it.
Yep. Okay. So some of the thoughts, you buy a property. Yes, I usually have the plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D when we buy a property.
I would call that an exit. Like, I want to know what the exits are. How am I going to get out of the property?
Right. And then the question is, do we do a full, quick, or just sell as is? Now, this one, I was sure what we were going to do, but the reality is my goals are different from this gentleman's. All right? For matter of fact, recently, I actually was telling one of our lawyers we work with that on this deal that was going sideways, I explained that, hey, it's nothing personal, but if I now get another attorney and file something, it's not personal because we have other things we're working on. And then I explained that you and I once were bidding on a property, not realizing that there was a wholesaler in the middle, and I bid him up like $25,000 on something, and we're still friends after. But I wanted to keep it. It was a rental in Hemet. He thought he would keep it, and he ended up flipping it, right?
Yes, I really didn't even clean it. I cleaned the carpets and changed some broken glass and made 80 G's.
You didn't replace the kitchen cabinets?
Nope.
All right.
I did sweep the dead rats and cockroaches off the cabinets, though. I did
for
do that.
$80,000. Maybe I should have bid yet more. So how do you decide, all right? What are you going to do when you have a property? And you're going to throw a dart, roll the dice, ask your partner, ask your wife, ask your granddaughter. Do you do a magic 8-ball? You know?
None of them will know.
No?
None
Okay.
of them will know.
So my thought process when I come to this is this. This is a lot of things that go through my mind when I have to decide. It's not just, oh, let's do it. It's literally how many projects are we busy? Are we slow?
And so that might mean how much overtime do I have to do? So if you're only doing one at a time, for instance, my daughter, who we haven't seen in a year, is coming into town on Tuesday next week. Guess what? Jim and Terry are shut down for 2 weeks. So if a new property comes in, that's a no-brainer. If someone wants to offer me 10 grand and I walk. So
right.
Anyway.
And then you might have, it might be a project that you need a certain crew because they know how to do this. Or you want, maybe it's a high-end property and you want your best crew and they're busy for 3 months. And you're going to have a different crew, a lot cheaper, and they just aren't going to be able to do the job. Or maybe it's too big or too small. Or how much money do you have? In our case, we'd be like, well, how much money do we have? How much do our flipping companies have? What's going on?
How much can I borrow from somebody else?
How much can I borrow?
How much will it cost me?
Right. Does my main money lender I call, does he have money that's just going to, or I know he just lent it to one of you? So all of a sudden, what are we doing? We're not sure. So we're having to find out, and a lot of times this will make it an easier decision or something. Well, we have rentals, we do flips, we do wholesale. And a lot of times, well, I can keep it. This is in a park, this one, so I can't keep it as a rental. But I could buy it, keep it as and sell it on a note. But let's say it's a typical house where I can buy it and keep it as a rental, flip it, do a full rehab, or just wholesale it to somebody else. A lot of times it's like, well, we could do any one of those. Well, now how do we decide? Well, we're going to go on vacation for 2 weeks. Well, maybe I'll just move it to somebody. Also, what is going on in the local, I put this in bold, local, national economic issues, because there's some things going on that who knows what's going on, all right? Some states are, the real estate market's slow, crashing even, and others, Angela's busy like crazy and got 20 offers on investment property. And yesterday, someone overbid by $70,000 on a property. I think they're going to do a flip and make 20 grand. So what's going on? Some people have plenty of money to spend and others don't.
They're going to go bankrupt. That's what's going to happen.
So basically, I put AI in there because one of the people that we know that actually pays a friend of ours a note on a seller carry thing, she lost her job due to AI the other day, and I got the call.
Really?
She goes, "What can we do?" I said, "Don't worry, we'll work it out. We can do.
Wow.
We'll talk about it, reduce payments."
That's crazy.
She told me, and I, for the life of me, can't.
Yeah.
The part of their job was already affected by AI 6 months ago, and several layoffs, and the rest of the job, which had to do with something, an intake, something with hospitals, and it went to India.
Just get used to this. This is going to happen, and you need to learn how to solve these problems. And I'm sorry to interrupt,
you're
but
good.
you need to learn how to solve these problems because that's all we are. We just solve problems like this.
Right. How many would realize that these are some of the things you might think about? Now, I might be overthinking it, but seriously, this is some things. Do we want to do another project right now? I got a call yesterday on a project in LA to buy it for. It's $1 million. It's a pocket listing for $1 million, and I already know Angela's saying hell no, but it's a pocket listing for $1 million. We need to get it for like $800,000. It'll only sell for 1.2. It's too tight. Just not gonna do it unless I got it for $800,000. But, huh? a pocket listing is a listing, say, an agent has that literally is real close to their chest, and they might shop it around to some friends and investors, and it's not going on the MLS, or it will, just not yet.
They're trying to double end it, or maybe the seller is like, hey, I'm only going to pay 2%. So the agent says, hey, great, no problem. I'll advertise to some of my friends. Bingo, pocket
Or
listing.
I want it sold quietly before the neighbor finds out.
Days on market.
Days on market. Yeah, is it going up or down?
I want to add
Go
this. I want to add this. So if everyone is looking at this page here, and if you're thinking about doing a project, you should photograph this page, because what you should be doing is, on each one of those little dots on the left-hand side, you should be going, how many projects am I doing right now? I can answer that question myself. How available are the crews? Well, you should. Most people aren't disciplined enough to be able to say, no, I can't let him do it. I want him to do it. And you got to start thinking like that. How much money do I have available? You need to start figuring out on your team, who is it that can answer these questions. What I was thinking is having a good real estate agent is going to be able to help you figure out days on market, how quickly it's going to sell. I know for me personally, days on market are what it's all about for me, because I do not want to I don't want to spend $40,000, $80,000, $200,000 fixing a property and then let it sit for 3 months. And that's what happened. Like I'm involved in a deal with Angela right now. We spent $130,000 up in Crestline. It's a beautiful home. We did a wonderful job on it for the most part. But it's sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. How anxious am I to have the new buyer close escrow? Super anxious, because days on market. And I knew this going into it. And I think we did well with the price. But all of this goes into the calculus. I spent too much money. Days on market in that area are already high. I had to come in on what I would call a lower, more competitive price. But all of that came into the calculus. So.
Right. And so, again, I think I saw Galveston, Texas. It's now like 6 months on the days on market. It takes 6 months to sell.
So you might have to come in
like double.
15% lower.
Right. Right.
So a $400,000 house in Galveston, Texas might have to sell for $368,000 or $358,000 or $346,000.
How many of you are investing out of state? Okay, a sizable part of you. And that's the key, is that some states, California, everywhere's getting hit by insurance. But some areas are getting hit much harder by insurance, and then the property taxes, because there's no Prop 13 to keep it. So when you bought it for $200,000 2 years ago, and it's worth $450,000, and your taxes shot up, your insurance went from $3,000 to $12,000 a year. A lot of people that were positive cash flow are now negative. On top of that, so anyway, just keep that in mind, that conditions that might be here, you're going to have different questions if you're in another state. It doesn't mean some states are still rocking it, and that's great. I'm still buying, depending upon what it is. I'm just really looking at the next 90 days. Okay, just keep that in mind. So again, is this, when I get a project, is it located in our flip area? If it's in LA City, I'm just going to wholesale it. I'm just not going to touch it. Is a sub-2 deal, seller carry? These go to the list to keep. There's at least a few of you in here, I know that got a couple of these, and then you sold them to somebody, and I'm like, keep those. You want to stay in. If you have a sub-2 deal or a seller carry deal, and unless it requires hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you can get in for very little money and you can do it, you want to keep those. Those are not, there's just not too many of them. And so you want to keep those things, especially when they make sense and the money's there. Flip another house. Go find something else, flip that, but keep those. And if you are going to sell it, stay in the deal. Do a wrap so that if the buyer, when you sell it, because if I do a deal with Jim and Jim's letting me do a seller carry where he's carrying the note, and I promise I'm going to pay him $2,000 a month, and I go sell it to one of you, and I find out 3 months later you haven't made a payment. You see the problem? I told him I was going to pay, so I'm going to have you pay me, and then I'm going to pay him. And maybe I'll structure it so I make $50, $200 a month. So I'm the trigger, and I know, oh, you didn't pay me, but that way I can still honor my commitment to him. We have a lot of deals where we have checks coming in, and the check goes right out.
But that also might be the reason why somebody would sell a project to you, because they know that you're conscientious and you're going to take care of their money. I know I wouldn't want to sell like that, because I hate being not in control of my own funds. But if I knew one of you, and I knew I could trust that you would make it good no matter what, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah. So if you could, so with that, just keep that in mind again. These are some of the things and some of the thoughts. It does take a little cash, a lot of cash, etc. And we get that. I've seen those sub-2 deals and seller carry deals. Well, $500,000 cash, and the guy will carry $600,000. Well, that I understand is not. I don't even think that's
not a subject.
Yeah, it's
deal.
really not in this context. The other questions: long-term cash available? Is it a multifamily? I'm going to look harder as a long-term rental. Does it have extra square footage to do something with, get extra value? Which private money lender am I going to use? They all have different needs. One guy I know, he doesn't do any points, just straight like 10%. Another one wants 2 points. I saw at Exchangers recently, someone offered someone, I'll do that for 6 points. So everyone's different. And so
I'll do it for 8.
Right. So it depends upon, maybe it's a tight deal and all your regular lower cost money guys are busy or their money's out. Guess what? Well, maybe it doesn't work as well. So what are your goals? That's the key to know what you're going to do with it. If you already bought 10 rentals that year and you're like, hey, I'm out of money, and another one came in that could be good, now you got a decision. Do I sell one to keep this? Is there any way to do it? Or, hey, I'm already doing 12 or 15 flips right now, and you get another one, it's another big flip. Do you have enough money, time, wherewithal, or you end up being divorced?
That's nice. And I hate stopping us here, but if all of you are listening to us, or some of you are listening to us going, well, geez, I just want a deal. I just want a deal. All we're saying to you is you're just not talking to enough people. That's all we're saying. And I know this is, I'm trying to be kind and gentle to everybody, but you guys need to see more people. I can tell you right now, a year and a half ago, I wasn't really doing many deals. I had a couple here and there that I did, but today I got more stuff than I can handle, and it's only because I'm out meeting people. I was at a breakfast meeting this morning in Anaheim, where a guy who'd given me $450,000 for a deal I'm doing with one of you guys here in the club, and his partner, hey, I got $452. Can you take it? You understand what I'm saying? So just because you're out there, you're trying to make this work, and you're finding deals, it kind of takes care of itself.
And sometimes it's okay, and there's a few of you I've talked to you about. Sometimes, some of you I know are that busy, sometimes you need to say no. Hey, I got this other flip. It's like, I know how much money you got going out. Maybe you should be saying no.
It feels really good to say no.
You got to know when to say no. It's okay. So understand. And I've said no recently. That one I'm talking about in LA, it's like, no. You got to know what it is. So if you know what parameters you want to buy, your buy box, if you will, and like mine's in California, you show me some great thing in Iowa, I might wholesale it. Sure.